Perfect. I see us live on our YouTube channel, and it does look like we're also going live on our Facebook page as well. Awesome. So I will just double check that before we get going. Yes, live on our YouTube channel. Great. I know I see a couple of you starting to join us. If you're returning with us, then we just take a couple minutes before we get started and kicked off. You can start commenting in the chat section for us to let us know who is tuned in and engaging. You can also react to this video so we can see your name pop up if you're not comfortable typing in a comment for us. All right, well, let's get this kicked off. And as more people start to tune in with us, then I will pause and make sure that I pick up those comments or give some acknowledgments. Good morning to you all and happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in to our live broadcast. I am Juliette Abdel, Westminster Chamber of Commerce President and CEO. And I'm always so thrilled to bring you some content, not only about the community and resources and what's going on, but also to be able to highlight to you some of our key partners that are in our organization and some things that are going on their end so that you're able to best support them and support one another along the way. Now, if you are a returning viewer to us, then I want to thank you for being a part of our broadcast for nearly 2 years now. You can find all of those videos in the video section here on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. You'll also find the video library there to rewatch, replay, or refresh at any point in time. Now, most of you already know the drill. We like to pick up any comments or questions from our chat section. So if you are not familiar, you can type in those comments for us and we'll pick them up along the way during our broadcast to not only highlight that you're with us, but of course be able to answer those questions or comments along the way. If you're a returning viewer, then you also know that you should be hitting that share button on your end so others in your network can see that we're live and can join us on this broadcast today. And if you are a very first time viewer, then I want to welcome you to our page and thank you for being a part of our information session today. I also ask that you not only hit the like button on both our Facebook and YouTube channel, but you hit the follow button on our page and the subscribe button on YouTube to make sure that it pops up when we go live or post content. I know that you go through about 3,000 feet of information on a daily basis, so we want to make sure that the chamber is at the very top of that information that you're absorbing throughout your day. Now we'll go ahead and just kind of quickly pull some of the comments that I'm seeing. One's come to us from Christine Wares. Happy Friday to you as well, Christine. Thank you for tuning in. Christine's a local business owner here in our community, and I know weekends are always crazy on their end. Justin is also giving us a nice good morning message. Justin is one of our newer partners that was on here with us for a broadcast. Appreciate you, Justin, and all you're doing to support some of those victims from the fires. And then we also have our past board chairman, Brian Head, giving us a good morning message. I know Brian also overlaps with Den on a frequent basis through his own professional role. So we're glad to have Brian on here as well. Now, this morning I have Sean Smith. And Sean, I'm very excited to have you on our broadcast today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited just to share a little bit about Den.
Yeah. Well, we are too. We know that there's a lot of changes. You guys are continuing to be busy. I know I frequented your airport over the last several weeks, if not months, and so many others that are tuning in with us have as well. I see our Mayor Nancy McNally, is also giving a nice good morning remark our way. It is a beautiful sunny day, and I'll take this over the dreary winter snow that we've had as of late. Thank you, Parker Brown, for tuning in. I know you're out of state and you're still able to hop on and engage with us. He is also, both Nancy, our mayor, and Parker are also business owners directly here in our community. Sean, let's get right to it. You are right now, you're working for Denver's International Airport. I always want to still say DIA, although I know it's DEN. So how long have you been there, and who is Sean outside of, being an employee of the airport?
Sure. So, it is always a challenge, the DEN versus DIA nomenclature. So I totally get it. I think we still have employees who sometimes, mix up the two. But yeah, I'm Sean Smith. So I am the acting senior vice president for culture and strategy at the airport. So that basically means my division is responsible for everything from strategic planning to employee engagement, equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts at the airport, along with employee wellness. I'll tell you, it's been an exciting just over almost 2.5 years for me at DEN. Prior to that, I was at the Department of Public Safety in Denver. I was there serving in a lot of different roles, but essentially in the budget director role there. But outside of work, it's I'm not a native Coloradoan, but I like to say that I'm almost a native Coloradoan. I was born in New Mexico, but I lived in Southern Colorado since I was a young kid, and went to Colorado State for my undergrad. I was 8 years in the Navy submarine force, and completed my master's at Regis before coming back home and joining the city and working in this capacity.
That is awesome. You've just given me so much to go off of, and I didn't even have to pepper you with questions for that. So I'm going to pick it apart.
Let's do it.
I do see Keelan. Thank you, Keelan, for tuning into the broadcast with us. Sean, thank you for your service. I always like to reinforce that you guys spend a considerable amount of time protecting us as not only residents of this amazing nation that we're in, but also sacrificing so much of yourself in the process. So just wanted to recognize that. We won't hold New Mexico against you. I can't even say that because I'm not a native directly from here as well. But you've been here longer than me, right? And so it's being here since infancy, I think technically allows you to claim that as well. Mayor Pro Tem DeMott is on here giving us a good morning remark. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for being on here. Sean just introduced himself. Holds an MS from Regis, has been with the airport for about 2 years now, and has a lot of different duties to really hold on to in your role as senior VP of culture out there. You're being involved in diversity, equity, and strategic planning for your employees, your organization. That is a handful. I can't imagine that you only have 1 or 2 people to manage. The airport has a number of employees. So tell me a little bit about what that looks like for your individual department.
Yeah, absolutely. So the airport, well, let me provide the context. So the airport has about 1,100 city employees that sort of work in the airport proper, but we have over 32,000 badged employees that work at the airport overall. And so that would include our airlines, our concessionaires, our tenants, our vendors, you name it. If they work there, we're counting them. And with that, we focus as an organization on recognizing that the impact of what the airport, the city side of the airport is focused on, actually impacts everyone who works there. And so my division is about 20, just over 20 people. And, we also have within our division our Commerce Hub, which our Commerce Hub is our direct link to primarily small businesses. And we aim in the Commerce Hub to really aid small businesses in being able to tap into the $33.5 billion economic impact we bring to the state. And, through our Commerce Hub, that allows us a chance to really engage with community, really engage with our business leaders, and really create partnerships between, our very large organizations that that are working at Den, and then those who really are just getting going, or maybe they're just trying to get into the footprint that is Den. And as we're moving forward, that's very much a significant focus of the airport. We are the third busiest airport in the nation right now. Technically, we're also the third busiest nation in the world by passenger traffic. Prior to COVID, we were at about the fifth busiest in the nation. We did just about 69 million passengers in 2019. But I'll tell you, Den has fared relatively well navigating COVID as compared to other airports. And that's in large part due to a strong domestic air network. It's due to strong partnerships with our airlines, with our businesses that support the airport. And that's really, when we look at, how Den has navigated, how we have financially responded to the pandemic. Our whole focus was on how can we help the people who help us keep Den running. And so we worked on several initiatives to help the small businesses, to help concessionaires, and to help the airlines as they, absorb the financial impact of, dramatically decreased traffic, whether it was in passengers or in customers, foot traffic in the concessionaires on site.
Sure. Well, and I love that holistic approach that you were taking of how do we not only make sure that we're viable, but every single player is along the way, and it's paid off in your rankings. I mean, you see that as travelers are already back in along the scale, not only nationally but even worldwide, as you were just saying, and some of those rankings along the way. So thank you for moving into that portion of our conversation pretty readily. I don't want to lose sight of a couple of quick comments that we had. Justin also served, so he just wanted to also thank you for the quick service that you've done. And we have our current chairman, Brian Dice, giving a good morning remark. I also see Lance and Lori. Thank you for tuning in with us on the broadcast. We've got Sean from Den providing some updates on the airport over the last couple of years, some information from his own departments that they're doing and kind of what's on the horizon. What are some things that you want others to know that is currently happening with the airport, or maybe ways that they can engage with you all on efforts that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, anybody who follows the airport in any form was probably heard of Vision 100. And, Phil Washington is our new CEO. I say new, but he came on board last summer. And one of the very first things he recognized was that our growth is really not doubted. And the reality is, we are going to achieve or hit 100 million annual passengers within the next 10 years. And we don't have that capacity. That, Den was originally designed when it opened in the 90s. It was designed for a capacity of 50 million. And, you might remember that a minute ago I said in 19 we did 69 million. So, we acknowledge and we recognize that passenger growth is necessary. It contributes to the economy of Colorado, and we need to be prepared, and we need to be able to actually handle that capacity. So that's what Vision 100 is about. And when we talk about Vision 100, we talk about it in 4 pillars of focus, of strategic focus. So this is, basically this is our strategic plan. This is the foundation. And in those 4 pillars, the first, we focus on powering our people, and acknowledging that is our greatest resource, and the resource that we really need to ensure that we're prioritizing. And so we're going to be looking at things as to how we manage our staff, how we lead our staff, but importantly, we're also going to be developing the Center for Excellence in Aviation, and Center for Excellence in Equity in Aviation. That's going to be something that is unique. It's a first of its kind. It will serve as an innovation incubator for aviation, but it's also going to serve as an opportunity for Den to bolster its engagement in the community by providing our community, especially our youth, but certainly anyone in the community, the opportunity to receive free training so that they can join the aviation community and lead to careers in aviation. And so we're really excited about that. I mean, that's a multi-year effort, but our city council, as you may know, we are part of the municipal government in Denver, and so our city council has been great in supporting us moving forward with what we call phase 3 in our Great Hall terminal. And part of that will allow us to build the center that I'm speaking of. In our second pillar, we're looking at the nuts and bolts of growing the infrastructure and acknowledging that we don't have the capacity to support 100 million annual passengers. And so, that's looking at, in addition to the projects we're doing that are the Great Hall in the terminal, or concourse expansion projects where we're adding almost 40 gates to each of the over the all three concourses, acknowledging there's more that's going to need to be done. And so we're looking at that, taking a deep dive into it to understand what future capacity enhancements are going to be necessary.
Mhm.
But we can't forget, and in our third pillar, we acknowledge that there is a focus that must be maintained on what we've already got. And while we continue to build these fantastic new facilities and additions, we also have an existing facility that is 26 years old, open to the public, and we have a duty to maintain that facility and ensure that it's continuing to provide the needed resources for our customers. And so we're really redoubling our efforts. It is part of a strategic pillar that we are going to really focus on that and identify, not only what is seen by passengers, but we know that, passengers don't necessarily see the infrastructure, the unseen that also has to be maintained. And then finally, one of the great aspirations of Vision 100 is aiming to open new markets through DEN. And one that we've set as an aspirational goal is opening the continent of Africa to markets here in Denver and in Colorado. And right now we don't have that service, and we want to see what it would take to get there. And so that's really going to focus on that, and looking at other underserved areas of the globe where maybe our local economy, our local businesses, and our local community would really benefit from having that additional connection. And that's both in air cargo and in passenger traffic. So with these four pillars, we're right now getting ready to launch our strategic plan that builds those things out and really solidifies what we're going to be focused on, at least for the next 3 to 5 years, as we aim for that 10-year goal.
That's a lot that you guys are looking to take on. And what I've been trying to do is capture all of these pillars. They're all great focus areas. And with a new CEO, or kind of a newer CEO, really, it allows for that new focus on things and a refreshed view on what's already being done, things that you can improve upon, as you were saying, on existing or maintaining facility in pillar number 3, and even the support for your staff and individuals that are in there. But then also projecting for what's ahead and knowing how to address that growth and progressive efforts that are taking place, and in tune with that, what those needs might look like, as you're saying, having those different markets come online. And I'll tell you, I'll be one of your very first if you ever open those markets to Africa, because right now it makes it really hard to travel anywhere that is in that area. You end up having to stop in another state that takes you to a different airport again. So it's usually 2 stops before you get onto something that gets you out of the US, and then another stop somewhere along the way in Europe, et cetera, to get to those African countries. So the travel time on those flights is usually at least a day if you're lucky. Generally, it's even longer than that. So, but you guys have opened a lot of things during this time as well already. I feel like over the last few years, especially, you've announced new destinations that came online. Is that accurate? And do you know off the top of your head a few that you wanted to rattle off?
Well, I can certainly share with you I actually have a list. So
Yeah.
I can share with you a couple of the newer destinations here. These would be just in 2021, we added mostly domestic, but one of the big announcements I'm sure you saw was we did add air service to Paris
Okay.
from Den.
Mhm.
And so that was in partnership with Air France. That was last summer, and that is a seasonal flight, but it's something that we're certainly proud of. And then we've added a few more local areas or domestic areas. So Joplin, Missouri, or West Yellowstone, Montana. But one thing I would highlight and is that as part of our concourse expansion program, where we're adding gates to the concourses, we did also open new concourses in Concourse B. So our B West concourses is something, uh, or gates, that's
Mhm.
something we're really proud of. And it really represents the kind of the direction that we're heading, as far as design goes, as far as passenger experience goes. So this is, if you've seen it in social media or anything, this is where we have a really awesome west facing patio where
Yeah.
passengers can actually go out the concourse while they're waiting for their flight. They can sit and enjoy the outdoor air. Really, for us aviation enthusiasts, we can watch all the planes traversing the runway. But it's just an excellent area to just really relax and unwind. But other features in that area are more comfortable seating. There's great digital signage. Just the overall look and feel is just a really comfortable environment. And I know for me, when I travel, especially if I have a long wait between flights or for a flight, that's what we're doing in our new concourse expansions and renewals is that's the kind of place I want to fly out of.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Well, and you're not alone. Parker commented a little bit ago, thanking you for all those updates, but he also emphasized that it's one of the easier airports to navigate through. Great job on that. So know that there are others that are out there that also share in that experience that they're having out at Den. I see Lucy and Megan on here with us. Thank you both for tuning in. Sean, I had a question, and this is something that someone actually asked me personally the other day, and I was like, I'll ask it of the airport whenever I do get a chance to. You've recently been trying to address the growing busyness of the airport. And I think one of the ways to strategically manage that has been to have an area, the north versus the south checkpoint area, designated for those that have been pre screened and those that have not. Am I following that correctly? And if I am, how do you feel that is going to be a benefit, or how has that started playing out? Because I think one of those areas of the comment or the question that came forward was why did that happen? I ended up going to one end. I was already kind of running behind, and then I had to run over to the other side since I went to somewhere that was different.
That's right. And so that was something we took. Those were some actions we took specifically for the holiday season. We worked in close partnership with the TSA to look at and to really get innovative and get try something different, because the reality is that we were experiencing faster return of traffic, and the numbers, and frankly it was resulting in what we deemed unacceptable wait times for our customers and our passengers. And
Mhm.
so over the holiday, we did have, we started a procedure of just having standard screening occurring at both the bridge security, so that's between the terminal and A concourse, as well as at South security, and then our North security, using that for our pre-check uh, passengers. And I'll tell you, it really paid dividends for us. It brought down those wait times to what we felt was far more manageable. The other thing we did is, you may have remembered that prior to the pandemic, we had our wait times posted on our website.
Mhm.
And we did discontinue that service during the pandemic, one, and just due to financial prudence. But also, I mean, there just wasn't the traffic that really warranted that level of tracking. We've returned that. And so that is available on our website right now. But the good news is we were so happy with the results of the way that TSA partnered with us and those changes we made, that we're still operating that way. And it at the end of the day, it's helping our passengers get through to the concourses quicker, so they can spend their time doing what they would like to do in the concourses as opposed to waiting in lines.
For sure. Well, I have another question that peppered through, and then I want to get back to some of those pillars and the strategic objectives that you shared a little bit ago, if that's okay, Sean. This came to us from Justin, and this was along the lines. I think you were talking about one of your enhanced concourses and your ability to kind of be out there and enjoy the space and enjoy the views and even the sounds and all of that. He has experienced some of the activities that you guys have been holding out there at the West End, and he's asking if that's something that's continuing on. Do you plan to enhance it even more? What does that look like? And I'll probably take a step back and ask you to explain it for those that don't know what those are.
Absolutely. So let's start with that. So Justin, thank you for highlighting that, because it's something that we love. and that we're really glad that we have the space to do. So in the area between the Westin and the terminal is sort of an open air plaza, and throughout the year we do utilize that space. We want to make it a little bit fun for passengers, and especially when for example, family members want to come wait with their loved one before they take their flight. It gives them an area to have like a fun little activity before they get on the flight. And so in that plaza, we've done things in the past, for example, like in the winter of having an ice rink out there for where you can rent skates and go skating, ice skating with your friends or your family. And then in the summer, we kind of move it into essentially a park. Throw some benches out there. We throw some artificial grass, and that way it's a nice little comfortable area to relax, lounge, and spend some time. We are going to continue doing that. We develop an annual plan that informs what we're doing, what we're planning, and how we're going to utilize the space. And so I think we're in the final stages of kind of having what that looks like. But yes, I can assure you we are going to continue providing opportunities for a little bit of fun out there.
Thank you for that. And as soon as that has been developed, what I'll do, since you always have a great line of communication with us, is once we see that, of course, share that out to our community so they're aware of some of those enhancements and those activities that they can take part in. But back to the strategic plan, just because I know this is a big vision that you guys have, and it's broken down into those 4 pillars that we've emphasized a little bit earlier for those that are just now joining us. So we have Sean from Den, and he's touched on a number of things that the airport is doing. He's given you a little bit about himself and his role with the airport, but then he's moved into some of the rankings that the airport has made, not only nationally, worldwide, some efforts that they're looking at into the future and how they're looking to tackle this big vision that they have broken down into the pillar. If I am in error on anything, you can always correct me, Sean, but I've got the powering the people, which is right where it's at, supporting for future growth or future capacity enhancements that you might have for the airport, maintaining what you already have, so existing facility that you've had for nearly 26 years to date, and then of course the 4th and final pillar, aiming to open those new markets through Den, things like the continent and Africa and other demands that might be out there. Are you in the process for, and I know that you kind of are, so are you in the process for seeking some input from the community, or how can they contribute to better help you in developing that plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is a very good example of the outreach we're doing right now. We did provide in late fall essentially a survey on our website that allowed, basically anyone who was interested to provide direct feedback and input at that point. But we also wanted to do some very intentional outreach with our partners this month that would just allow us the chance to, one, talk about it, and you make sure you are aware of it and you know what's happening, so that as you start seeing our announcements and start seeing the things that we're talking about here in the next few months, you kind of know the context behind it, and you know essentially where we're heading. So this is the big way. And for me, I will tell you that I stand readily available to hear input, and our government affairs team is certainly standing ready to get any input that you have, and feedback as well. So for me, probably the easiest way to get a hold of me is going to be on my email or my phone. So my email is sean.smith, that's SHAWN.smith @flydenver.com. Or you can always call at 303-342-2393. And yeah, I mean, I'm always interested to hear, because I think any business leader knows developing a 10-year plan is no easy task. And so, we certainly want to be open ears to suggestions.
Well, and developing something that's for such a huge organization too, there are so many nuances that you factor in, not only from your employees, your stakeholders, from the government that you serve, and near areas that are nearby. So we appreciate the outreach. We've loved the relationship that we've been building with you all, and it makes sense. You are our airport, and where people come over there, we want them to fly out of the area, and we want them to know about those different destinations that make Colorado great. Of course, I have that favoritism toward Westminster, but there are always other areas that they can go to. So just a quick recap, Sean provided his phone number for you. That's in the chat section. You can always email him directly as well with any thoughts or questions. And he, as he's shared, he wears numerous hats. So know that he will get to your email as timely as possible. And we ask for grace along the way. And then here is his direct, the direct website to Denver, of course. And they have recently bought back the departure schedule and projected time period on their website. So if you were someone who used that regularly, you can now find it to date. And I will flash forward this news release that we have on our website. And that was kind of for business input that you all had requested. And that's until the 4th of February. So follow this link and you'll find the questions that they're asking from our business community. So you can send in that written comments. We're kind of gathering all those comments and we'll send it over to their team so they can best be able to formulate that into the thoughts that they already have and the innovative ideas that they have on their radar. We've kept John with us for just a little over 30 minutes, but I want to thank him not only for his time today, for his service and for his leadership within DEN. So thank you, Sean, for being a part of their team. I think you're a crucial asset to them. And then,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and then I want to thank all of you that are tuned in. I know there are several that have hopped in and out, several that have stayed with us along the way, and several that will rewatch this at a later point in time. So whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, we want to thank you for replaying and rewatching. You can always give us the hashtag replay. If a question was not asked that you were really curious about, you can always type that into the comment section as well, and we will still pull that up, get that answered for you, and come back and share it out to everyone so they are also aware of it. If you experience something personally and you don't necessarily want to put it in the comment section, but you still want to get the word out on it directly to their team, DM the page. We often have that with different kind of sensitive information or private information. You can always DM us and we will keep that as anonymous as possible and still try and get your concern or question or comment as best addressed as possible. Hit the share on the video so others see it on your end, and enjoy the rest of the day and weekend. Sean, stay with me as we exit out, but thank you for being a part of the broadcast today.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.